Good morning, boys and girls. It's me, Mrs. Kokenauer. I've got another story for you today. Yesterday, we had a day off of school because it was President's Day. That is a holiday our country observes every year. And I thought it would be very interesting to read a book together that explains that. President's Day by Anne Rockwell. She's one of my favorite authors. And the illustrator is Lizzie Rockwell. And we're going to find out about President's Day and a little bit more about some of our most favorite presidents. President's Day. And this is a picture of the president's seal. Did you know that in the Oval Office of the president, there is a rug that has this picture on it? It's right in front of the president's desk. President's Day is when we celebrate the birthdays of George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. They were both born in February, many years ago. They were both very great presidents of our country, the United States of America. And here is a picture of George Washington. Here is a picture of Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln's birthday was last Friday, February 12th. George Washington's birthday is February 22nd. So we usually celebrate President's Day between their two birthdays. Grown-ups vote every 4 years to choose the President of the United States. Each person votes for the person he or she believes will make the best leader. They don't all agree, so whoever gets the most votes becomes president. Now, we've talked about that in the library. Elections for our president is every 4 years, and to be able to vote like these people here, you have to be a citizen of the United States and you have to be at least 18 years old. So this little girl is going with her mom. She's not going to be voting, but she's going to watch her mom vote, and that's fun to do. And look, when this man finished voting, he got a sticker that says, "I voted." You may have seen your mom or dad get a sticker after they voted. We decided to put on a President's Day assembly program, telling the rest of our school some things we learned about some of our presidents. Now that is fun. What a fun project for their class to do. We worked hard getting ready, painting and cutting, stirring and cooking flour paste, and tearing strips of newspaper for paper mache. That's what this is, a big paper mache project. We'll have to see what they're making. Some of you have made paper mache for the different projects I've had for you do in the library. Sam, Evan, Sarah, and Machiko wore the mountain of paper mache we made. Look what they did. That's the paper mache project they made. Hello, everybody. We are Mount Rushmore, they said all together. The faces of Presidents George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln are carved 60 feet high on our hard granite cliff. Now, each of these presidents will tell you about himself. Now, granite is a type of rock that is found in these mountains. And Mount Rushmore is a real place. It's a real carving into the rock of the mountain in South Dakota. I got to go there one time. I hope you get to one day. and see the faces of the presidents carved into the side of the mountain? It was so fun to see. And can you see their legs? They put the paper mache presidents of Mount Rushmore over them. That's fun. I was George Washington. That's because my birthday is the same as his. I was born on February 22nd, 6 years ago. But George Washington was born more than 200 years ago. So if she's 6, she's in first grade. This class that's doing the President's Day program is in first grade. That's a pretty cool program for first grade, isn't it? She looks a little bit like George Washington, doesn't she? They curled her hair. Now, George Washington wore a wig on his head to make his hair look like that. Good morning, I said in a deep voice. I led the American people when they fought to be free from the King of England. That was called the Revolutionary War. Have you heard about the Revolutionary War? We won, so I was elected the first president of a brand new country called the United States of America. And this is what the first flag looked like. We have stars for every state. And now the United States has 50 states. So we have 50 stars on our flag. But back then, when the country first started, we only had 13 states. So there are only 13 stars on the flag. Abraham Lincoln was very, very tall. And Charlie is the tallest kid in our class. So Charlie gets to be Abraham Lincoln. I am the 16th president of the United States, he said. I kept the United States together when it split in two. I said, a house divided against itself cannot stand. And I meant it. We fought a long war to keep our nation together. Do you know what the name of that war was, boys and girls? It was called the Civil War. And the country really did split into two. The North fought the South fought the North. And that was called the Civil War. But Abraham Lincoln wanted to keep everybody together. That's why it's called the United States of America. United means many stick together like one. We were lucky to have a president like President Lincoln that wanted the country to stay together, and it did. Nicholas is a good writer who can always think of just the right word. When he came on stage wearing a red wig with a short pigtail in back, he just sat at a desk writing with a pen made of a feather. That's what their pens looked like back then. Everyone waited patiently while he scowled and scratched his head, crumpled pieces of paper and tossed them into the wastebasket. Scowled means being frustrated, maybe making a face because you're frustrated. He's trying to think of the right thing to say. Can you tell who Nicholas is trying to be? Let's see. Finally, he cried out, "At last, it's done." He stood up, bowed to the audience, and said, "Good morning. My name is Thomas Jefferson, 3rd President of the United States. I wrote something called the Declaration of Independence that told why we wanted to be free from England. It's pretty good, if I do say so myself. he started to read what he wrote. But suddenly, Jessica came galloping out on a hobby horse. Now, another word for hobby horse is a stick horse. Some of you may have had a stick horse when you were little. "Good morning," she shouted. "My name is Theodore Roosevelt, but you can call me Teddy. I'm the 26th President of the United States. When I was a kid, I was sick a lot and couldn't go out to play. But when I grew up, I was healthy and strong and loved the outdoors. I wanted a lot of this big, beautiful land to always be wild. That's why we set aside more land to be national parks, where plants and animals could always be wild." Pablo and Eveline came out on stage carrying the long mural we had painted of giant redwood trees, the Grand Canyon, Old Faithful spouting, and animals in the Everglades. A mural means a big painting. You may have gotten to help make a mural before. These are some of the parks that, thanks to Theodore Roosevelt, we can all visit in the United States. The rest of us join them. Mount Rushmore, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, and Teddy Roosevelt on his horse. We bowed while everyone in the audience clapped for a long time. They did a good job on their program, didn't they? I love how everybody got a job to do. I bet they learned a lot about the presidents doing this program. Back in the classroom, we had an election. Everyone wrote the name of someone who would make a good leader on a piece of paper. I wrote Pablo's name because he's smart and never mean. Oh, that is what you would want in a president, isn't it? Someone who's smart and never mean. We put each piece of paper in a box. Mrs. Madoff counted the votes. The person whose name appeared most often would win the election. So they're voting for a class president. Guess what? I won. Just like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt, and today's President of the United States. Do you know the name of our president right now in the United States? Joe Biden is the name of our president right now. Now I'm the president of Mrs. Madoff's class. When I grow up, I want to be the first woman president of the United States of America. Wouldn't that be great? After all, I had the same birthday as George Washington. And look, here are the pictures of the presidents that we read about in this book and that are on Mount Rushmore. George Washington lived from 1789 to 1797. It says no political party, though usually George Washington is associated with the Federalist Party, which doesn't exist anymore. Birthplace, Virginia, that's the state he was born. He was born on February 22nd, 1732. He died December 14th, 1799. Thomas Jefferson was born from 1801 to he was president from 1801 to 1809. He was in the Democratic Republican Party. That was what the party was called back then. Now, that sounds unusual to us because we have a Democrat Party and a Republican Party, but it was one party back then. He was born in Virginia. He was born on April 13th, 1743, and died on July 4th, 1826. He was our third president. Abraham Lincoln. He was president from 1861 to 1865. He was the first president of what we know as the Republican Party. His birthplace was Kentucky. He was born February 12th, 1809. He died April 15th, 1865. And then Theodore Roosevelt. He was the 26th president. He was president from 1901 to 1909. He was also a Republican. His birthplace was New York. He was born on October 27th, 1858, and he died January 6th, 1919. I wonder who is your favorite president? Lots of people think some of these presidents may have been the best. Different people have different opinions. I think it's important that we learn about all of our presidents, and it was fun reading about President's Day together. If you would like to take the AR test on this book, boys and girls, here is this number. And thank you for listening to my story today. I'll see you next time.